One of the things we did predict in 2006 was this idea of there was going to be a big crisis in 2007. 100 years back, 1907 rich man's panic, and then 100 years before that, the 1807 Embargo Act. Now, the Embargo Act was a really interesting one because tariffs are very topical at the moment. So in the Embargo Act, the Napoleonic Wars were going on in Europe. So America decided if they embargoed trade with Europe, Europe would come to its knees because they were so reliant on American things that that might not only stop the war, but it would increase American sovereignty globally. Unfortunately, the opposite happened and the market came down 80%. And then 1907, there was no Federal Reserve in 1907. So the government called upon J.P. Morgan himself to help sort the problem out. Well, which was one of the big banks in the middle of the global financial crisis? J.P. Morgan 100 years later. But the story doesn't stop there, because let's go back to 1807 and remember how we added 50-year patterns in transportation. Add 50 years to 1807 and we get 1857. Now, we've just mentioned that with the railroad boom, so you can see how these cycles are interweaving. Then we've got another 50 years taking us to 1907. And then in 1957, the American markets came off 20 to 25%. There was no panic per se, but that was a secular bear market. And that was because everybody that could afford a refrigerator had one. Everybody that could afford an automobile had one. Everybody that could afford a television had one. So it was a downturn in manufacturing. So it was a bit weaker. So that's the other point to make, is that not every cycle repetition is going to have the same magnitude. But that is how this all comes together.